I believe that public defense reform is important in the state of Michigan because right now we have a system that's failing our children. We have a system that is basically devoid of funding, it lacks appropriate funding, and what it is doing is that it is encouraging ineffective assistance of counsel, and I believe that the children are suffering. On a daily basis, I see attorneys who are operating in a system where they don't have the proper support or training to deal with a specialized area of representing children. On any given day, you can see attorneys in a courtroom speaking with their clients for the first time in the hallway in a non-confidential setting just for moments before they go in and handle a case. There's a lack of vertical representation, so there's an inability for the child and the attorney to actually establish an attorney-client relationship. I also see attorneys really trying to move the process forward, not for the benefit of the children, but so that the court can keep its docket moving and so that the court can save money. It limits the good outcomes that we have for kids. When you have attorneys that aren't able to establish an attorney-client relationship and attorneys that aren't able to actually spend time with their clients and that aren't trained, children aren't graduating from the system to become productive youth. They're graduating out of the system into adult crime, and they're also not having their needs met while they're in the system. We have attorneys that really are not advocating for their clients at the dispositional phase or post-dispositionally. So the court is not made aware of what the service needs are for the child, whether the child needs educational intervention, mental health services. So when a kid is in the system and they don't get all of that, the children become devalued themselves. I believe when a kid has a good attorney, somebody that speaks honestly with them and connects with them, that they become invested in the process. They become invested in their rehabilitation and their treatment. And as a result of that, they value themselves differently. And they work hard to get out of the system. An appropriately trained attorney would be able to sit down with the client and determine this kid's issue is not that he's so much a criminal per se, but he has mental health issues that he needs treatment for, and he can get those services outside of the system, thereby saving money on a judicial system that's already strained and overburdened. An attorney can also make adequate representations, I think, to the court in terms of what's appropriate for treatment, placement, and try to keep kids in the community. If they end up in the system and they do need treatment, if you have a good advocate, they come out of the system being productive. If at the beginning they're not supposed to be in the system and you have a good, zealous advocate, they don't end up in the system and they get treatment elsewhere. I've never seen anything like it. No office? They don't even have offices. The attorneys don't even have offices. And so they're talking to kids in the hallway. The problem is that representing kids isn't the same as representing adults. And I've actually seen attorneys get upset with kids and yell at them. You know, in holding, you know, a kid's crying, I don't want to go back there and, well, this is the best I can do for you. I'm like, what? You know, you're talking to a kid like this? And then that's the first time you've met that kid. So then the next time they see you, they're not going to talk to you at all. So these attorneys are now in court every day and they don't have any paperwork. They don't have anything. And of course, the court wants to blame us for not turning things over, but it's like, how are we supposed to do that? Vertical representation means that you have the same attorney from beginning to the end of your case. If you're arrested on the street and you get locked up, you'll meet an attorney within 24 hours, but that won't be the attorney that'll be on your case. So then at your pretrial, you meet a different attorney. And it's always been our office's policy that whoever does the pretrial does the trial and everything else that comes behind that. But now that the court has attorneys assigned to specific courtrooms, if you go to a referee and you decide you want to judge, then you get yet a different attorney. So what that means for a child client is that they never really have an opportunity to build rapport and to build trust. And when you have attorneys that aren't able to deal with kids on that developmental level, I think that they become harsh, and I don't think they really advocate. The stakes are just so much higher with kids because our goal really is rehabilitation and treatment and not punishment. So, you know, we've got to be aware of all of those things. So if I know I have a kid who's got a substance abuse issue, who's behind in school, and maybe his mom is marginal, but there's a relative that's willing to take him, you know, I can talk to that relative and come back to the court and say, look, as opposed to placing him, in a treatment facility, can we put him with a relative? And the relative's already looked into it. He can go to community mental health to get substance abuse treatment. And we've already talked to the school, and they'll do an IEP, and they'll give him remediation in school. And that way we keep the kid in the community, and we don't have to spend the tens of thousands of dollars that it takes for them to be in a residential treatment facility. So if an attorney that represents kids isn't aware that you can do that, you can even do that, then kids miss out. A lot of people don't know that juvenile records are not closed, they're not sealed. A lot of people don't understand that at 18, a juvenile record no longer goes away in the state of Michigan. So an offense can follow kids for the rest of their lives. With our system of justice, because we are supposed to have a system of justice where everybody is represented, I think if you have the full weight of the state of Michigan or the county or the United States behind the state, I think that defense should be able to meet and test the premise of the government. I think they've got to prove it.